Welcome into another episode of the Save Saturdays podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Petrick. Joining me, as always, are Ryan Bentz and Will Reason. How you guys doing today?
Hi. Great. Excited for another podcast.
Will is doing hi today.
Hi. Hi. Hi, Will.
I hope that means well in Giltner.
It means hi.
Speaking of the meanings of words, question of the week this week, very unique, very special. Last week we decided how we'd want to be cooked if we were a potato. This week we are adding words to the dictionary. So here it is. If you could add a word to the dictionary, what would you add and what would it mean? Ryan, you are very proud of yours. Go ahead and give it to us.
All right. Well, first, before I say this, I want to give a shout out to that Texas Longhorn team. I know we'll get to this later, but Hook 'em Horns, great win against Oklahoma State. All right. My new word does categorize with Texas. So it is called a beaver win.
Okay, so it's Bevo and win.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
A Texas victory.
It's clever. I like it. That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's like a Texas victory. So, I mean, how would you say that in a sentence?
Did you happen to catch the Bevo win last week?
Yes. Yes. I like it.
Do you think we're going to pick up a Bevo win this weekend?
Yes. Yes.
I think it could catch on.
It has a ring to it.
It all started here.
I might make that my word now, too. Webster, if you're listening to this, get it in there.
A beaver win. Pronounced B-the-win. Spelled B-E-V-O-W-I-N.
I don't even think that either of us can top that.
I don't even have a word. Like, I was so thrown off by this question. I have no idea. So you go.
All right. So my word is, I guess, technically already a word, but it's not a word in this tense.
Wow. So this is his idea, and he's already cheating.
I'm not cheating.
He's taking an existing word and flipping some letters around.
I'm changing because it's a noun, but I'm making it a verb.
Oh my gosh. What is it?
My word is cane, and it means to cane. It means to get raising canes. So
let's go cane.
Let's go cane.
Let's go cane. All right.
See, it doesn't have as good. It's not as good as Beaver
win.
Win.
It's like a slang kind of.
I guess so.
So like how people say, Insta and like SC.
Let's go cane.
Let's go cane.
Yeah.
See, when you say that though, it sounds like you're saying let's go Canes, and you're rooting for Miami Hurricanes
or the Carolina Hurricanes of the NHL.
Carolina Hurricanes, but no one roots for them. So
I was trying to think of a really clever way to work like box combo into that word, but I just wanted to keep it simple.
BC Kane BC.
I don't even.
Bacane.
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 It sounds like you're a bird, a chicken. Bacane.
I'm like, I don't even know.
Will's turn.
I'm just trying to put together like random letters in my brain and like see if they even make sense.
J-U-P-S-E.
Like splop. Splop. What about that? Splop? Is that a word?
That's a word. That is definitely
That is not a word.
Maybe not in the
way.
dictionary, but it's already a slang word with the definitions.
What about kerplunk?
That's just like
It could be a
sport.
Noise. Let's go kerplunk. Let's go play some kerplunk.
It could be a sport. What sport is it?
Yeah, what sport?
I'm gonna need the full rule set right now.
This is a different week question. I don't know.
All right, so check in next week for the official rules of kerplunk.
We're gonna figure out the new game of kerplunk, and we're gonna get back to you.
I like it because there's like a little bit of an accent in there. It's like it's not English. It's kerplunk.
Kerplunk.
All right, so we got Bevo win, cane as a verb, and kerplunk.
This is gonna be a fun game, guys. Don't you worry. I'm gonna spend all week figuring this out.
You know what I think it should be? You should get in a cube room and have spike ball nets on each wall and have to smack them around like that or something.
Wow, that's
Let's
smart.
get the spike ball nets and let's test it.
And then
But if we're gonna throw the balls everywhere, we're going into your room.
once it becomes a college sport, college kerplunking, and Texas gets a team, you can get a Bevo win in kerplunk And after you win your kerplunk match, you can go cane.
Go cane.
So
You know who we're gonna hire as our head coach for the Texas script blocking team?
hopefully not Tom Herman.
It's gonna be Tom Herman after he gets fired. Wait a minute.
He is gonna get fired. I'm glad you brought that up.
Just beat the number, what was it, 6 team in the country?
6.
What a guy.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's
guy.
talk about that.
What a guy.
We're going out of order a little bit already off the rails, but let's talk about Oklahoma State losing to Texas and why I think you can still fire Tom Herman this year. And it proved nothing.
Before we talk about Tom Herman, can I just have my monologue on this one? I don't want to point out that Ethan has been ramrodding the Oklahoma State Cowboys down our throats and how they're going to the college football playoff all year long.
It's not over. It's not over.
They
can still make it. They can still make it.
Playoffs?
They can still make it.
A one-loss team?
And every time he brought them up, I said, Ethan, Oklahoma State, like Wisconsin, chokes every time, every single year. They'll put together a good team. Before you know it, boom, lost to Texas. Boom, lost to Oklahoma. Boom, lost to K-State.
They didn't lose to Oklahoma. They didn't lose to K-State. They're going to clap K-State.
They're playing K-State.
They haven't played Oklahoma
this week.
Yet.
Right.
We'll talk about that game later. Maybe, hopefully.
We will.
You better hope you get the first pick in the draft
I
order.
I hope I do. I hope I do, because those are two different opinions there. But no, Oklahoma State, they choked like always. Never pick Oklahoma State.
They're not out of it. I'm hearing everyone this week. So the Big 12's out. The Big 12's out. No, they're not out. Plenty of one-loss teams have made the college football playoff. I believe Oklahoma lost a game last year and still made the college football playoff.
Yeah, but
here's the thing. No, I'm not done yet. Here's the thing. Texas has the chance to make the Big 12 championship still. They're not completely eliminated.
Yes, they do.
It's a long shot, but they have a shot. And if they make the Big 12 championship game, and Oklahoma State assuredly makes it as well, and Oklahoma State avenges that loss, they can say they beat everybody on their schedule. And they have an exciting offense that's going to sell tickets, sell ads. College Football Playoff Committee, they might tell you that they don't consider that, but they do. That's why we've never seen a group of 5 team in, because those teams aren't selling the ads. They're not going to get the views.
Yes.
So, no, Oklahoma State is not eliminated from the playoff yet. One more loss, yeah, they'll be done. But I can still see this Oklahoma State team winning the Big 12 and making the college football playoff. And I do think they would win a rematch versus the Texas Longhorns. You look at that game. Total offense, Texas, 287 yards of total offense. Oklahoma State, 530. Almost doubled them up. Passing yards held my boy Big Sam to 169 yards passing. Meanwhile, Spencer Sanders went for 400. Rushing, 130. Clearly the passing game was working, but they still outrushed Texas. What stat did Oklahoma State lose? Turnover differential. They were -4. Okay, and that was a one-score game. Turnovers are notably variable. You play another game, offense is going to be the same. Defense is going to be the same. Oklahoma State's defense shut down Texas, and their offense worked to perfection. They just had 4 turnovers. And those are major. One turnover, that's surmountable. 2, you can get over that. 4, that it's tough to win a game.
Yeah,
it's tough to win a game with 4 turnovers. So, do I think it hurts Oklahoma State's chances to make the playoff that they lost that game? Yes. Does it eliminate them? No. Does it save Tom Herman's job? No. You guys can talk.
Well, at first, I think Tom Herman's going to keep his job. When he goes into a game as an underdog, he performs very well. And I mean, you could talk about that in the Red River rivalry game 2 years ago, to kind of spark that Texas comeback and then later beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So I think Herman, he just needs to kind of get his mojo and, I don't know, kind of figure things out. He needs to start playing consistently. When he goes in as a favorite, they perform at the level of, the team they're playing. And like Kansas last year, where they only beat them by 7. So it's like Herman just needs to find some consistency and really bring out the talent in his players.
I would just like to point out that I'm not predicting that Tom Herman will be fired. I just feel that if I was the AD, I would fire Tom Herman. So
would you have fired him already?
I just for consistency for the players and that sort of thing, I would probably wait until the end of the season to fire him.
With Sam Ellinger and
I would let them finish the season. Maybe he surprises me and he goes on a tear, wins a Big 12 championship, and wins a New Year's Six,
so
and then I can't fire him.
Right.
But I don't foresee that happening for Texas, and so I would start poking around on new coaches. Like, who do I like? Let's send out some scouts, maybe watch their games, see what he's like.
So I guess under what circumstances would you consider firing Herman? If he doesn't make the Big 12 appearance, or if they lose the Big 12?
I would not fire him if he won the Big 12 championship. Anything less than that, I would probably fire him.
If they lose a bowl game this year and still don't make it to the Big 12?
Yeah. Unless a horrible call cost us the Big 12 championship game and he should have won and he coached excellently, okay. I would keep him. I would keep him in, but
interesting.
Right now, he's trending towards fired, and I would probably fire him.
Okay.
I just want to say that's ridiculous.
I know you think it's ridiculous.
I know
we got into a screaming match.
We're not going to go into it because
right.
we know where we stand on this. I just wanted to say those two words. First, you brought up the Texas versus Oklahoma State game. Spencer Sanders he played a good game, I'd say. His stats look great. Chuba Hubbard did not play a great game. 25 carries, 72 yards. If you do the math, that's 2.9 yards a carry. That's not really great, especially when you're in the Big 12 against a Texas defense that we know is kind of lacking.
Right.
And Texas, you look at their stats, they played horrible.
Yes.
How they scored over 20 points is above me.
Yes.
They had four turnovers.
Yes.
They had 4 turnovers,
and one touchdown was a kick return touchdown. So special teams touchdown.
Really.
And as we know, because we're Cornhusker fans or Cornhusker students, Ryan, kick return touchdowns are backbreaking. One against Iowa last year, one against Wisconsin last year. Pretty much swung the momentum in those games towards the opposing teams.
Yeah. Basically, what this game showed me is that Oklahoma State, they can put up a lot of points. They can put up a lot of great stats. But when it comes down to primetime games where they have to know how to win a big game.
And it was an overtime game.
It was an overtime. It was against a legit Texas team who, despite a few losses, they're contenders.
Couple.
They cracked in a big game. They have not played a big game all year. This was their first real test, I would say. And what happened? 4 turnovers. And yes, you can say turnovers are variable, but the identity of a team does not change over a few weeks. And I think pushing the ball down the field, making mistakes like turnovers, I don't think those change in a few weeks. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to make the playoff simply because they're going to lose 2 or 3 more games because they underperformed. I'm thinking of Jeff Van Gundy for some reason. I don't know why I was thinking Jeff Van Gundy. We see it under Gundy all the time. I mean, this kind of play. They always put up great stats. They look great in the preseason. They look great in the middle of the season. And then they get in the big games against Oklahoma. They get in the big games against Texas. And they just they've never proven themselves once, not a one time. I think the one time maybe was when they had Brandon Whedon to Des Bryant connection. But didn't they lose to Stanford or something in their bowl game? Like, even the best team they had in the last 30 years still couldn't even finish out on a big bowl win. So,
well, I can tell you right now, this is the best team that they've had in that amount of time.
I disagree.
All right, you have a former Big 12 Rookie of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, whatever they consider it, in Spencer Sanders, who's only a true sophomore. He's only been in college for 2 years. That was easily the biggest game he's ever played in his career. So I don't think we should
Brandon Whedon was too.
I don't think we should. Yeah, he was also like 27.
Des Bryant was 2-time wide receiver of the year.
Hold on. Spencer Sanders, he's young. He's got talent. He's proven that he's got talent. This was his first real test, and he put up great stats, but he also had 3 turnovers. He had 2 fumbles and 1 interception, so he's got to clean that up. But he still put up 400 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. So I don't think he necessarily shrank in the big moment. He just had 3 bad plays, and you can fix those kinds of mistakes.
I don't think you can.
Also, Tylan Wallace and Dylan Stoner, both NFL top 2-round wide receiver talents. And Chuba Hubbard is possibly the best running back between him and Travis Etienne in this next draft.
Well, he didn't show it.
So there's NFL players all over that offense.
He didn't show it.
And that defense shut down Texas. So clean up the turnovers. That's a 3-score victory.
Clean up the turnovers is the problem, though. I don't think cleaning up the turnovers is something you do in
Turnovers
the
aren't consistent, though. You can't depend on turnovers.
The identity of a team is consistent, and I think that is Oklahoma State's identity. They push the ball down the field, and because they're risky, they push the ball a lot. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make turnovers, and they're not going to be able to compete in big-time games when you do that. When I look at guys like Adrian Martinez at Nebraska, we've been saying all year long, this guy, he makes a lot of turnovers, but hey, the offseason is going to come, and he's going to look better. What did we see against Ohio State? We saw turnovers. We saw mistakes. We saw penalties out of Nebraska's offense. I don't think the identity of a team can be shifted mid-season, and I think Oklahoma State, with this loss, which they should have won. I mean, it's ridiculous that they lost this game. The fact that they had 400 passing yards or 500 yards of total offense or something like you said, and still lost the game. Texas didn't even have to throw for 200 yards passing. They barely had 100 yards rushing, and they won the game. I mean, that tells me that teams don't even have to play half as good as they usually do to beat Oklahoma State. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State's playing, aside from 4 turnovers, they played great football, and they still lost the game. And I know of a lot of better defenses in Texas and a lot of better offenses. Do I think Oklahoma State has a talented roster? Yeah, Tylan Wallace, he balled out. That dude's a baller. Chuba Hubbard, dude's a baller usually, but he didn't show it this week. Spencer Sanders, 400 passing yards. Dude's a great talent. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of NFL talent on this Oklahoma State team, but under Gundy, Oklahoma State, they're just not a playoff team.
Not this year, at least.
And one more thing, you brought up Herman. I think this is a great win under Herman. Rival team. This is always a great matchup every year. Not quite Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State or Texas versus Oklahoma, but I would say that the Texas versus Oklahoma State game every year, it's always usually a marquee matchup. And Tom Herman, however you want to twist it, just beat the number 6 team in the country. I mean, you can twist that however you want.
Mike Riley beat the 6th-ranked team in the country, and he got fired in 3 years.
Mike Riley also didn't have a winning record after his first year.
Yeah, because he got fired because he didn't meet expectations.
He never won a bowl game.
Just like Tom Herman doesn't meet expectations.
See,
you look at this game against Oklahoma State. Turnovers were the story. Texas only had to go on scoring drives. Twice they had scoring drives more than 25 yards. One point, they lost 5 yards on a drive and still got a field goal because of a turnover. And Oklahoma State does not average 4 turnovers a game. You take away their 4 turnovers from this last game, in which they lost 3 fumbles and threw an interception. They've only had 9 turnovers on the season. Take away the 4 from this game. That's only 5 turnovers. So they're averaging 1 turnover a game, not 4. So this was a outlier. This completely destroyed their analytics. So you can go and say the identity of Oklahoma State is turnovers. Yeah, if you're looking at this game only, but if you look at traditionally against every team they've played this year,
lesser opponents,
they did play Iowa State.
They averaged Iowa State also lost to an FCS
turnover.
team.
They averaged 1. They did not lose to an FCS team.
Sorry,
Sun Belt.
Basically FCS team.
Basically.
I would have no problem, and I think analytics are great in sports, but analytics do not tell a whole story, and they never do. They never, ever do.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, yeah, you can say, well, if you take away these 4 turnovers, they don't turn the ball over a lot. Well, yeah, if you take away the 4 turnovers, but you can't just take away 4 turnovers and actually it didn't happen.
You said that you said turnovers were their identity, and I'm saying
they are their identity.
That is false. You're using one game to say, that's their identity. That's who they are. No, they are not Adrian Martinez with 20 fumbles and 21 starts.
Well, they've only played 5 games, so we don't have a lot to sample from here. The first 4 games against a bunch of crap teams. If you turn the ball over a bunch of crap teams, then yeah, you just suck. But when you step into a rated team like Texas with 2 losses and you turn the ball over 4 times, that tells me that you're great when you play a bunch of crap teams. You play a good team, 4 turnovers, you play a great game, and you still figure out a way to lose. The point is Oklahoma State broke down. They couldn't find a way to win in a big game, in a big clutch moment, in an overtime game, and they turn the ball over in a big game. And I think that's what we're going to see, and that's what we usually. And I'm looking past years at Oklahoma State under Gundy. That's what we usually do.
Well, I
think Mike Riley, the Mike Riley to Herman comparison is very bad one to make.
I'm not making a I'm not saying they're the same coach, but you're saying, well, he beat the 6th ranked team, so he can't be fired. I'm like, I'm saying that there are plenty of people who have beaten a top 10 team that have been fired very quickly afterwards.
Throw words in my mouth. I never said he shouldn't be fired because of this win. I said it's a good win for his resume. I think beating number 6 team is always a good thing. Mike Riley did beat the number 6 team in the country, but weren't we like 3-6 or something at the time we won that game?
According to you, it should have
Mike
saved his
Riley
job because you can't look at any other games.
Mike Riley never had a winning record after his first year. Tom Herman's also. He's won, 3 bowl games. He's never had a losing record. He beat a college football playoff contender a few years ago. That's considerably better than Mike Riley.
Get a conference championship and we'll talk. Moving on. Clemson, it has been announced that Trevor Lawrence will miss the Notre Dame game this weekend. He is out of his COVID quarantine, but because of procedures that need to be done to make sure that his heart is not inflamed, he's going to miss the Notre Dame game.
But he will be on the sidelines.
He's going to be on the sidelines, which begs the question, if he can stand on the sidelines, why
can't he put on a uniform?
Why can't he play in the game?
Right. I find that ridiculous.
If you are Clemson and you lose this game and it ultimately keeps you out of the playoff, how would you just feel robbed?
Yes.
Who's keeping him out of this game?
The
NCAA or Clemson?
I believe the ACC.
The ACC. I say if it's Clemson, then they'll know they shouldn't feel robbed. But yeah, I mean, if ACC is forcing him to sit out, that's pretty ridiculous. I think that should be on Clemson. That should be a coaching staff decision. The medical team staff. I think that's their decision.
I like their backup quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, I believe is how you pronounce that.
That sounds right. But
we thought Tagovailoa was hard.
I still can't pronounce that. But I thought he did really well to come back against Boston College when they were down.
I would just like to point out that was not the offense's fault, that BC-Clemson game. That was the defense for Clemson was abnormally bad in that game.
I just want to make a point, too. Boston College is not like some 1-11 team that they have been.
They're a decent team.
That is an actual decent team that I think could beat half the Big Ten any day. Yeah. They have a legit quarterback that can throw the ball down the field. So I don't want people to think Clemson almost lost to a trash team. Like that was a decent team right there. Yeah.
Boston College
possibly bowl eligible.
Boston College has only been blown out one time this year, and it was probably the best team they played, which was Virginia Tech, other than Clemson, obviously. And they've played multiple top 25 teams very close. So Boston College I think they can play with anybody on any given Saturday. I don't think they're going to come away with the win because I don't think they're a great team, but they're definitely not a team you can sleep on.
Oh no, I liked them coming into after their first couple weeks watching them. They looked pretty good. I was always a big BC fan.
So other than feeling robbed, if you guys are a Clemson fan coming into this Notre Dame game, on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident are you in DJ and the rest of the Clemson team to come away with a win? I'm a 4. I think I don't like Notre Dame as much as the AP voters apparently do.
Right. Number 4, right?
I believe so. They've struggled against poor competition. They notably only scored 12 points against Louisville.
Right.
So exactly. I'm a 4 confidence that they're going to pull away with the win. Ryan, what are you feeling on that?
I could agree with you. I might go 1 number down to 3. I think it's going to be a good game to watch, though. I think Clemson's defense could really stop Notre Dame in their offense and hold them to a few points. But
there's nothing special on that Notre Dame offense.
Right.
So they've been winning with solid defense, obviously, because they only scored 12 points against Louisville and won.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to watch that matchup.
It's going to be a defensive game for sure.
Will, what about you?
I'm going to go completely opposite, and I just because I was high on Notre Dame coming this season. I'm a -3 if I'm a Clemson fan right now. I am shaking in my boots. I don't think Clemson's going to win this game. If you ask me to put $10 on this game, I'm putting it on Notre Dame.
So you're a 3 confidence in as a Notre Dame fan that they're going to win.
If I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm a 5 confidence. So I'm going to go -5 then.
What is the spread on this game? Do we we know that?
I believe Clemson was still favored, but I'm not sure.
Let me look. I'm scrolling.
I'm sure they're favored. It could be like a
Clemson by 5.
Oh, 5-point spread.
I think I might take Notre Dame to cover, but I like Clemson to win.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Field goal at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be certainly a great game for DJ to prove to Clemson fans that he is prepared to take over for Trevor Lawrence after he enters the draft this next year.
What is he, a sophomore?
DJ is a freshman, true freshman.
I just
okay.
also real quick. We're talking about Travis Etienne, a very underrated guy, Kyrian Williams, running back, starter for Notre Dame, 105 carries, 600 yards, 7 touchdowns. Travis Etienne, only 2 less carries, only 606 yards and 9 touchdowns. Notre Dame also has 3 other backs, including Ian Book, who has over 200 yards of rushing. They're already over at 13 as a team, 1,300 yards rushing as a team between 4 backs when you include Ian Book. So I think there is some special stuff on this Notre Dame offense.
How's Clemson's run defense though?
I don't think we can raise any questions about Clemson's defense.
Right.
They had one bad game against BC, probably a wake-up call for them.
Right.
I trust them.
Here's something. Notre Dame and Clemson both yards allowed. Clemson 274, Notre Dame 267. Both have about the same rush.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a great defensive game.
But my problem, it's gonna be great. It was gonna be a great game before this.
Yeah.
I just don't think without Trevor Lawrence, I just don't think.
So what's your prediction?
He got Notre Dame.
I got Notre Dame. I'd bob bet. I'd bob bet that right now.
Is it going to be like Notre Dame by 10, 14, or is it going to be closer?
I'd say it's still. Okay, where is the game at?
Clemson, Notre Dame. Clemson, I think.
It's at Notre Dame.
Okay.
I would take Notre Dame by. I'd like
Tough.
10. I'd say like 10.
10?
And Ian Book, senior. Versus freshman. I don't think Ian Book's as talented, but he's just got the experience. He's at home. Okay. I think as a team they have a superior running game. They can shuffle in 3 or 4 guys. Ian Book can run with it. Etienne's great, but I think that's the only rusher they have. So I think in this game, if you're Notre Dame, I'm looking to shut down Travis Etienne, and I'm going to make the freshman throw the ball to win the game. And if they can shut down Travis Etienne, I'm taking. I'm big confident in Notre Dame.
Last thing, Ryan. It's only a question for Ryan because he's our betting guy. You think it's going to be a defensive game. The over-under for total is 51.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Under.
Under?
Under. I feel like
Are you hammering the under on that?
I'm full confident in under. I think the final score would be more like a 10 to 14, 10
Whoa.
to Yeah. Yeah, or like a 14-17. I feel like 21, 28 points a team would be too high.
I'm going to hammer the under as well because a 42-7 win for Clemson would be under 51. So
Exactly.
We'll find out. Did we Bob bet this? Or
I'll bet you that Clemson's winning.
Okay.
And how about you, over under?
51.
51. If Trevor Lawrence was starting, I'd bet the over. But yeah, I'm going the under.
Okay. So we're all hammering
just
the under there.
Clemson, I imagine, is going to come out and want to run the ball first. And I think Notre Dame's going to do the same thing. So I think it's going to be a heavy run, good defense game.
I was kidding. I was trying to get a rise out of Will. I'll take the over on that. I have more faith in DJ.
Wow.
I think it'll be like a 31-24 kind of game.
Okay.
31-28 maybe.
Okay.
It'll be close.
It'll be close.
51's a close number. Like I think they could hit either one.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. Every week we will be predicting the Nebraska game. Because we are Nebraska people.
Yes. We are Nebraska.
I wish. I wish we were Nebraska, but we're not. But they're playing Northwestern. Northwestern out to a hot 2-0 start. Took down Minnesota in week 2. And
Iowa.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
I misspoke. They beat Iowa week 2. And in week 1 they beat Maryland. They trounced Maryland.
Are we looking this up?
Love the faith you guys have in me.
I thought they played Iowa first. That's why.
No, they played Iowa last week.
They did play Maryland. 43-3, they beat them.
Yep. A team who just beat Minnesota. That was my connection.
Right.
So Northwestern is favored by 3.5. I think that's an excellent line from Vegas.
Job Vegas.
So who do we got coming into this game? I notably said that there was no way. Thank you, Dryer, for letting me know my clothes are done. But I notably said that there was no way the Nebraska Cornhuskers beat Wisconsin last week with their 4th-string quarterback. And quite frankly, Northwestern at full strength, and they are like Wisconsin light. So, and this is always a close game in the Big Ten. If you're not familiar with this matchup, these two teams seem to always come down to a field goal. I'm going to take the Cornhuskers, though.
I'm right there with you.
I'm not as confident as some of the Cornhusker fans are. I've seen a lot of people predicting a blowout. I think that's wishful thinking.
Not going to be a blowout.
It's going to be a 3 to 6 point game.
Yep, I can agree with that. It's going to be a close game, and definitely feel like Nebraska could figure. I think, well, especially after this unfortunate bye week, they had a lot of time to prepare for Northwestern, and I think they'll get Northwestern here.
I think we have another Bob bet here because I am hammering the Northwestern Wildcats this weekend. I'm sorry, Huskers, but if I'm trying to win a Bob toast, I got to go against you. It's in at Northwestern.
Right.
Nebraska does not have great success at Northwestern. They don't really, like Ethan said. This is a very close game every year. It doesn't matter how bad either team is, how good either team is. I mean, it could be lopsided in talent. It'll still be a close game. Fitzgerald when he plays Nebraska, he plays very disciplined football. Like he said, they're Wisconsin light. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're not the most talented, but they play disciplined football. And Nebraska, I mean, they just don't. We just don't play disciplined football. We haven't ever, I don't think, under Scott Frost. We always have turnovers. We always have penalties. And I think when you're on the road against a team that's on a 2-game win streak and you're playing Pat Fitzgerald and starting quarterback Peyton Ramsey has experience against Nebraska, diced us up last season. He was a member of the Indiana Hoosiers. I think Northwestern could honestly run away with it. I mean, it could be, I would say, a 2-score game they could win by.
Here's an interesting thing. If the game was in Nebraska, I would pick Northwestern. But because it's at Northwestern, I'm picking Nebraska because of this stat. Since joining the Big Ten, at home, Nebraska is only averaging 129 yards rushing against Northwestern. At Kyle Field in Evanston, though, the Cornhuskers are averaging 244 yards rushing.
Wow, that's some stat.
Nearly twice as many rushing yards away. And if we remember to 2018, Scott Frost's first almost win was against Northwestern. Cornhuskers looked like they had the game in hand, ended up going to overtime. They got the ball second, and I believe Adrian Martinez took a bad sack on 3rd down, and then on 4th and long threw an interception.
Yeah.
But that was a freshman mistake. We saw them beat Northwestern, a team that has only changed their quarterback really since. And so do I think Northwestern is a solid fundamental team? Yes. Is this game a coin flip? Yes. But that stat was telling, and I think we expected the identity of this Nebraska squad to be a rushing team. They rushed a lot against Ohio State in week 1, not a lot of passing. So I think there's a lot of potential for the Nebraska Cornhuskers to physically dominate that game.
I tell you what, if we got Luke McCaffrey in the backfield again, catching some tosses out of the running back position, I like our odds at that 230 rushing yard number.
Well, there's
I like our odds at a 300 yard rushing game.
There's another thing I like about that game. You have Luke McCaffrey as a spellback, a speed guy, shifty, small guy. We saw him hit the spin move against Ohio State like his name's Braxton Miller. But we also have the power back in Dedrick Mills who can wear away. So if we want, you can physically impose your will early in the game with Dedrick Mills, wear down the Northwestern defense, or you can try and get Luke McCaffrey involved early, get him in space, and then once you get a lead, put in Dedrick Mills to just kind of seal the deal and just pound away. Because notably, running backs get better as games goes on, as defense get more tired, and Dedrick Mills is a powerful runner. So I really like Nebraska. I think they match up well, and that's just about the only reason why I think they're going to beat Northwestern.
I definitely agree with that. I think if the only way they're going to win, though, is what you said. I think McCaffrey and Dedrick Mills, the two are going to have to be on point. I think we're going to have to do something creative. I think the reason we looked so good against Ohio State at the beginning of the game is because we were creative. We came out. Yes. I think we surprised the crap out of everyone. It surprised the crap out of us. Yep. What we saw there. I think it's proven now. I'm not talking bad about Adrian. This is no offense to Adrian, but the guy just can't. He will not win a game by himself. The guy, you can't trust him to throw 35 times a game and throw for 350 yards and win a game himself.
Well, they don't have the wide receiving talent to do that.
We don't have the wide receivers to do that, even if at all. But even if we did, I think we've had it in the past, and he's still. I mean, every once in a while he'll go out and put up a great game. Next game he doesn't. I mean, he's not consistent enough as a thrower to be able to lead us by himself. And I think so. We're gonna have to have a great running game. Dedrick Mills is gonna have to step up. Luke McCaffrey, I'd love to see more out of him. I don't know how you can incorporate him, but somehow just give him the ball. So yeah, we're gonna have to do something creative. Take it out of his hands a little more.
Well, certainly be a game to watch for if you're a Nebraska fan. Some other games we're looking at. We're gonna be doing something a little new with this segment. We got the games to watch for, but we're doing it almost like a fantasy draft. Ryan is number 1.
Hey.
Will is number 2. I'm number 3. Gonna spin a random number generator real quick. Whichever number it falls on gets the first pick. Snake order, picking 3 games that we want to see. So, without further ado, it's gonna be Ryan.
All right.
And then it'll be Will. Then it'll be me. Then it'll be me. Will. Ryan.
I get. If you didn't like hear earlier when we were talking about Oklahoma State and Kansas State, Ethan and I had a little back and forth there. I just want you to know I won that. We're talking about all the Wildcats right here.
All right, sounds like we're going to be going to the right instead. I'm just kidding.
All right, well, a game to watch this week. It's a Big Ten matchup, Michigan and Indiana. Michigan's picked by 3.5, and honestly, I think Harbaugh can pull off a win against Indiana. It's at Indiana as well, but Indiana's been showing some pretty good football lately. Really competitive, really kind of keeping games close. Obviously with Penn State and who they just play?
Who?
Indiana.
Like Maryland or something.
Rutgers.
Oh, okay. Rutgers.
I always feel like Maryland and Rutgers are the same thing. Like they just equally suck and they're both red.
Right. They're both on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But anyways, I like Michigan in that game. I think Michigan will pull it off, but I think it's definitely going to be a game to watch for sure, especially since Indiana's ranked 13th. So we'll see.
All right. I'm going to steal this one from Ethan. Kansas State, Oklahoma State. This weekend, Oklahoma State coming off of a horrible loss to Texas. Not that Texas is bad, but Oklahoma State played very poorly. Most would say that a team like Oklahoma State would bounce back with a big, booming game against the Wildcats, but there's one problem with that theory. The problem is they are playing the Kansas State Wildcats in Manhattan. The Wildcats without their starting quarterback for the rest of the season. But the Wildcats, they're just going to win because go Wildcats. I'm taking the Wildcats to beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they like to choke. Kansas State always likes to give the big teams the run for their money. So I'm taking the Wildcats in Manhattan. Ethan, who are you taking?
Well, obviously I'm taking Oklahoma State, but
not in that game, but who's your game to watch?
So actually both of those games were the 2 games I had my eye on for my first pick. But a third game, kind of an underrated matchup, even though it was mentioned earlier in the show. I'm looking at BYU at Boise State. This is a top 25 matchup. BYU number 9, Boise State number 21 in the country. Boise State's has played 2 games. They're 2-0. BYU is 7-0 on the season. Have not really been tested. This is their last game to really prove that they are going to be an undefeated team. It's smooth sailing after this game, Boise State. But notably, at Albertsons Stadium in Boise, there will be fans. There will be about 1,100 fans. Huh. They split it up. There's going to be about 300 parents, 200 some students, the band, cheerleaders. So there will be a bit of a crowd. It'll probably look a little small with 83,000 seats in the stadium, but either way, Boise State will have some fans. I think that's going to be a disadvantage, though. BYU is a 3.5-point favorite, And speaking from hockey experience, when you go out on your home field, home court, home ice, and there's just a lackluster crowd, it almost kind of demoralizes you. Like, oh, there's no one here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
it's hard to get excited for that game. So I'm gonna take BYU, and I'm gonna take BYU by 14. It's gonna be 35-21.
Okay.
Nice even score for you.
Yeah.
And then the second game I am watching, I would have picked Air Force Army, but that game got postponed. I'm going to be looking at the debut of Clay Helton's USC Trojans against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Keaton Slovis, basically the Adrian Martinez of this season. He's a freshman quarterback who's getting a ton of buzz about the Heisman. I don't even think they're going to play enough games for him to even be eligible for the Heisman. I just don't think he's going to be able to put up the stats. And for whatever reason, Clay Helton was the most hated man in college football the last 2 years, but suddenly because he's got a good quarterback, everyone loves him. I think this game is going to go extremely poorly for those Trojans. They're a 10.5-point favorite. I think they're going to lose. I'm taking Arizona State outright.
Okay.
And I'm going to take them by 10. They got Jaden Daniels, another electric young quarterback. I really like him. So keep your eye on those Sun Devils.
Is it back to me now, or is it Ryan?
It's you.
Okay.
Yep.
I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is not related to my pick, but if I can find it here. A very surprising line by Vegas. Maryland, Penn State this weekend. Maryland 1-1. Penn State 0-2. Penn State has the 25-point what do you call it? Favorite. By 25 points. That seems awfully high for an 0-2 team. And might I add, never mind, it's in Penn State. I thought it said it was in Maryland.
If it's in Happy Valley. I mean, I don't like the spread. I'd probably take Maryland to cover, but I like Penn State in that game.
That's a big spread for an 0-2 team.
Yeah, but we also thought that the Ohio State spread against Nebraska was pretty big, and they still ended up covering it by 7. So
I didn't think it was that big. Nebraska sucks.
It was very large.
Okay, well, I mean that wasn't my pick. I just was scrolling through games and I thought that was a large spread. Anyway, my game here. If you watch listen to the Save Saturdays podcast before, you know I'm big on Florida and Florida, Georgia 8-5 in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm glad we got that order then. You know I'm a big Kyle Trask guy. Georgia 3.5 point favorites. I think Florida's gonna win.
I agree.
They came off a bad loss. Kyle Trask, I still think he's the best quarterback in the country besides Trevor Lawrence, and I think Kyle Pitts is by far the best tight end. I think he's the best pass catcher in the league this year. I mean the guy's just absolutely balling out. I think Trask to Pitts, it's gonna connect. It's in Jacksonville, Florida, so not much home field advantage for anyone. Of course, it's in Florida, but I mean it's not wherever. So I'm taking Florida. I'm big on Florida. Both teams one loss.
I really like that.
What are you taking, Ryan?
I like Florida in that game. But all right, my next game. Let me pull it up here. You took my game there, but all right, next game to watch. Mac Brown in North Carolina at Duke.
Of course, he's going with Mac Brown.
I kind of like this matchup. They're big basketball schools. So I was obviously like big rival school as well. So definitely a rivalry game to watch. UNC picked by 10.5. And I do like North Carolina to win. Should be a high scoring game, over under 63.5. I could see that. Both Sam Howell throwing for 1,846 yards, 14 touchdowns. So for North Carolina. So I like Mac Brown and North Carolina to win.
I don't know what to do. I'm kind of wanting to rethink my third pick. I wanted to go Pac-12, but I'm gonna stay away from Pac-12. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it to the Big Ten. Michigan State, Iowa. Not a big game. 1-1 versus 0-2. Iowa favored by 6 points. I got Iowa winning this game. I think they're 0-2. They look like a bad football team, but it's Iowa. They will. This is not a team that will ever produce bad football. They're gonna come out, and I think Michigan State's way overhyped after a big win against Michigan. I think Michigan State's just a fundamentally bad football team. Iowa, always fundamentally great. I think Iowa's going to come out, and I think they're going to win big. I would say double digits. And I think they're going to come out and just pound the football and run all over Michigan State at home. So I'm taking Iowa. I'd bet on that one.
All right. Well, I'd just like to preface this by saying this entire segment was Will's idea, and he said we were supposed to pick a bad game.
I know. I was going to mention that.
So I actually went out and found a bad game. Two teams
I didn't know we were actually
two teams sub 500. Tulane against ECU, Eastern Carolina.
Yeah.
Everyone should know that I am the greatest head coach in Tulane football history on NCAA Football 14. Multiple national championships, probably 7. Also multiple returner of the year awards, punt returner. But I'm gonna stick with my boys, the Green Wave. The real life head coach Willie Fritz is probably somebody I would have tabbed as the next head coach of the Texas Longhorns if Tom Herman were to be fired. He's a good head coach. Maybe the record doesn't show it at 3-4 this year, but Tulane I think can play with anybody in that conference, the American Conference, which is a very good Group of 5 conference. And sometimes it might be difficult to get top end talent at Tulane compared to the rest of the schools in that conference. So Willie Fritz, great head coach. I think he's got ECU. Tulane is favored by 5. I like him better than that. I'm going to have him winning by a touchdown. It'll be a high-scoring game, 42-35.
Yeah, you'll see Tulane come back during the Big Ben's Bets special. So.
I like the Green Wave.
I just want to say, too, that my third game was 0-2 versus 1-1. So it wasn't that
It's a bad game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a great one.
Michigan State, Iowa.
But I didn't realize we were actually doing it. My bad. Next week, I'm just gonna pick a trash, absolute horrible game.
Thank you.
Is it mine? My third. Now.
I should have already gone through.
Yeah, you should have already said your third. Did you not do two? You should have done 2 in a row.
I didn't.
Oh, well, go ahead and
My
go
bad.
after that.
All right, real quick. Georgia State Panthers and UL Monroe Warhawks. Georgia State is picked by 18.5. Big offensive team. So definitely. Well, UL Monroe 0-7, and Georgia State 2-3.
I thought you were gonna take them for a second.
No, Georgia State. I like Georgia State.
I like Georgia State as well.
That was my bad game to watch.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with our NFL talk. We're going to be ranking some wide receivers, responding to a Colin Cowherd QB tier list, and as always, our NFL game predictions. So stay tuned for that. Hey, Safe Saturdays listeners, it's Ethan Petrick with a special announcement. Airing every Tuesday at 2 p.m., Takeout Tuesday is a show all about food. Join in as Will and I try different restaurants, finding out which restaurants are superstars and which are undraftable. We don't hold back as we tell you what's good and what isn't. Make sure to subscribe to Safe Saturdays on YouTube so you don't miss a single episode. And as always, Safe Saturdays. And we're back from break, coming at you guys with all things Safe Saturdays NFL. Starting off with a surprising topic for Will and probably Ryan, but the Dallas Cowboys suck this year. There's no way around it. Will, notably, with the biggest probable whiff of the predictions episode, predicted the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, and Dak to win MVP. As we know, Dak unfortunately out for season. And the Cowboys probably not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
Big whiff, big whiff.
However, fortunately for the Cowboys, they're still alive because that conference just sucks so bad.
Yeah.
Given that they are on their 3rd/4th string quarterback, do you guys see a potential playoff berth for the Cowboys? And at the same time, do you think that they should draft a quarterback early in this next draft?
I don't see them making a playoff berth at all. Even in a bad, what'd you say, conference? Division, yeah, a bad division. So I think the Eagles would beat them in the division. But to your second question, I do not see them picking a QB in the draft next year. I know they did already pick a QB in the draft pretty early last year, I think. Maybe I'm thinking late round pick, but I don't know. I think the Cowboys, after Dak recovers, obviously stick with Dak. But I don't think they'll be looking at drafting a QB.
Will, what about you? You probably a little irritated.
What was the original question?
Do you see the Cowboys making the playoffs, and do they?
Gosh, no, heck no. That team is horrible. That is like that's a bad football team. They're just absolute trash. And I will say this: we were talking a lot. I think did we talk about the Dak and his paying his money? I think we did. The first couple episodes, we spent a decent amount of time talking about if Dak should have got his money. I always said Dak should have got his money. A lot of people said Zeke should have got his money. Right now, I don't want to say it's ironic, but we're watching what happens when you take Dak out of the Dallas Cowboys offense and it's just Zeke, and it's atrocious. Zeke can't hold on to a football.
Can I defend Zeke real quick? Just real quick.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he could not get a running game with any running back in Green Bay. He is not a running backs coach.
Right.
So I don't think this is all on Zeke.
I don't think it's all on Zeke either.
The offensive line is as bad as it's been in his career in
hurt.
Dallas.
They're hurt right now.
And he's got a bad head coach for running backs. So I don't think you can put all this on Zeke. He has had a bad year.
I wasn't about to put it all on Zeke, but the offensive line's hurt. But those fumbles are not on Mike McCarthy. The production maybe, but Zeke is. The guy can't hold on to a football right now. And do I think Zeke's still a great running back? Yes. Is he worth the big money? No. I'm a guy. I will never tell you to pay big money for a running back. I don't care who he is. If it's Saquon Barkley, he just came off an MVP season, and you're trying to win a Super Bowl. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, I don't think you sign Saquon. I think you let him walk. I think quarterbacks are the way to winning in this league. It's the only way to win. If you don't have the quarterback, you don't win. Dak Prescott, a guy, led the league in passing yards last year. He was leading the league in passing yards this year until he got hurt. Yeah. And the Cowboys were actually a little competitive. They were actually winning games, or if they weren't winning games, they were at least somewhat close. Dak was actually made them the best offense in the league until he got hurt. They were putting up points. Yes. Despite the defense being absolute atrocious, you could call them the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The offense was the best in the league. They were great. And so I think with Dak being out, I think that he's going to get his money. This will get him his contract. Because if right now, Jerry Jones is watching every single one of these games, and he's going, Dak Prescott is the most valuable thing we have on this team. We have to keep that at all costs. And if he doesn't pay his money, Dak's walking. He's going to another team. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Dak's going somewhere else. Ethan's giving me this
I'm glad
smirk.
you said that, because if I'm Dak Prescott, Rain Dakota Prescott, as Skip Bayless likes to call him, if I'm him, I'm sitting at home or on the sidelines or in the press box or the booth, whatever. I'm watching this team. I'm like, I don't want to play for that team. Are you kidding me? That defense is terrible. I made them the best offense in the league, and we still couldn't win games. And now I'm watching them without me. They're terrible. I was already disrespected because I didn't get my contract early. They didn't want to pay me what I felt I was worth, and then they botched it when it came down to the franchise tag deadline. We had a deal in place, and they didn't finalize it fast enough, and so I ended up on the franchise tag. Now I'm hurt. My future is in jeopardy. Rain Dakota Prescott is a scorned man. He's a Cowboys fan, but they've done him wrong. They've done him dirty.
It was just
if I am Dakota Prescott, I am heading out. I'm saying goodbye, Jerry. You paid everyone but me. I'm the offense here. You can go ahead and watch me playing for the Washington football team, the Minnesota Vikings, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can go ahead and watch me and see what you missed out on. And that is why I asked, are they going to be drafting a quarterback? Because they will have no choice, because Dak Prescott won't be a Cowboy anymore.
It was definitely disrespectful what Jerry Jones did to Dak. Paying Zeke his money first. That was when that's when Dak should have known. Okay, I'm not wanted here. I'm done.
That's an excellent point that I just didn't.
I would love to see that as well.
Yeah.
As a Cowboys fan, maybe not you so much. I don't know. Depending on who you draft.
I'm not a.
Hey, you're I imagine they have a first round pick. Or do they trade that?
The only first round pick they've gotten rid of is the one that they used to get Amari, and now they've already missed out on that one, I believe.
Okay, so they should have a pretty high pick. Could you see a Justin Fields?
They're top 10 right now.
Justin Fields in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, maybe.
Sam Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger.
Yeah. Yes.
Please do, so I don't have to hear the Sam Ellinger to New England talk.
I would love that. I want to see. All right, if I am a Sam Ellinger fan, which I apparently am, I've grown into one this year.
Yes.
I hate the Longhorns, but for whatever reason, I like Sam Ellinger.
He's a great guy.
I would love to see him in New England. I think he'd be a great quarterback there.
Okay, we're talking about the Cowboys here.
But I mean, I could also see him going to the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe if they don't want to jump, maybe they don't like any of the quarterbacks that end up coming to them. Maybe the big three, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, no longer on the board at their pick, and they don't feel comfortable going after a Zach Wilson or a Brock Purdy or a Kyle Trask. Maybe they wait till the second round, pick up Sam Ellinger. Third round, possibly pick up Sam Ellinger.
I totally agree with that.
I would like that as a Sam Ellinger fan, and I would like that as a fan of
football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just guy from his home state where he went to college playing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Moving on, talking about quarterbacks, specifically Dak Prescott. Again, Colin Cowherd on his show, The Herd, today spouted what Will would call A1 heresy. He put out his QB tiers list. Tier 1, he had Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. Tier 2, Burrow, Carr, Goff, Herbert, Jackson, Murray, Roethlisberger, Tannehill, Watson, Wentz. Tier 3, Josh Allen, a guy Will likes, Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Garoppolo, Newton, Prescott, Ryan, and Stafford. Will.
I just want to say first what I think is wrong with this list. I'm not going to... Okay, starting off, Aaron Rodgers in the QB1 tier. He started off that way. He's trending downward. A few more bad weeks like he's had, and I would see an argument for tier 2. But for now, tier 1. Totally fine. Tom Brady in the tier 1, love to see it. Derek Carr in tier 2. That just can't happen. That's unacceptable. Get that trash out of here. He is a tier 3 quarterback. How dare he have Josh Allen in tier 3, but Derek Carr in tier 2? That's an atrocity.
Okay,
Drew Brees,
real quick. What part of 283 yards and 4 touchdowns and 291 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions is bad? He had a bad game against Tampa Bay, but Aaron Rodgers has been solid since. He's undoubtedly a tier 1 quarterback.
Josh Allen's...
He's had 4 bad weeks in a row. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
You said you'd see him... you said he's had a couple bad weeks. He's had one bad week.
Well, heck, I mean, Tom Brady can have one bad week, and we're talking about his retirement. So, I mean, if you can't take the heat, get out of the oven. So...
Well, that's because the cliff's
Josh
coming.
Allen.
We all know the cliff's coming.
I just want to say, Josh Allen had one bad week, and you were on my tail about getting him out of my top five.
I was right because he's had 2 more bad weeks and 3 in a row. So go ahead, back to Drew Brees.
I'm not defending Josh Allen yet. He's been terrible the last few weeks, but I think Drew Brees. He's been aging. He's not great, but the guy sure as heck should not be in the same tier as Cam Newton. That's just utter disrespect. I mean, Drew Brees needs to be in tier 2. Dak Prescott, I know he's injured, but before he left, we just talked about Dak Prescott. The guy should not be in the same conversation as Teddy Bridgewater and Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's just completely disrespectful. He should be tier 2 for sure. Carson Wentz, I would almost demote Carson Wentz. The guy's been really bad this year. You can say what you want about the receivers, but here's what I say to his lack of weapons. Tom Brady, at like 41, 42 years old last year, had a very desperate need for receivers, had no running game, no tight ends. Their rookie receiver they drafted in the first round, hurt for season. The best receiver is Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman led the league in drops last season. And Tom Brady, in the first 7 games, went 7-0 and was the number 2 seed in the playoff. And so, Carson Wentz, you just got to be better. I understand you don't have great weapons, but what are they, 3-6, 2-6? That's just not. I don't care what your weapons are. That's just not
3,
good.
4-1.
3-4-1, like that. That's just not good football. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe if he picks it up, I'd put him back in tier 2, but he's just not playing good. Other than that, I think Cam Newton should be in a tier of his own in like tier 7 because he's been absolutely horrible. I mean, all the guys in tier 3 are better than Cam Newton.
I think you need to get off Carson Wentz's back because he's not only lacking in skill position talent, his offensive line has been hurt and is aging and is old. They have not been good this year. So, and Carson Wentz, oftentimes, he might throw a lot of interceptions, but he's asked to do a lot. And so he's putting the pressure on, similar to Sam Ehlinger in the Red River rivalry. He made a lot of mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions, and I believe he had a fumble.
Yeah.
You can't put that on him because he was asked to win the game. They're like, hey, we are the rest of us are trash. Please win the game for us. That's what Carson Wentz is asked to do every Sunday. This is a very Colin Cowherd take, but I think he is dead on with this. Carson Wentz is the Eagles team. He's the Eagles offense.
Yeah.
I don't think Travis Fulgham would be as good as he is with any other quarterback. It's a little bit contradictory to what I'm about to say in the next segment, but I think that Carson Wentz elevates talent. I think it's ridiculous that Dak Prescott is tier 3 and not in tier 2, but I think you need to cool your jets on the Carson Wentz hate.
I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's a great quarterback, but this particular year, he has just not played great football. Like, he is definitely, I would say, compared to his past years, he has underperformed.
I don't
greatly.
I think his stats would indicate an underperformance, but once you contextualize it with what he's working with, it's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty understandable.
There are a lot of quarterbacks that don't have weapons, and they still do better than 3-4-1. And he's in a division that's just absolutely atrocious. So I mean, he should have a few gimme wins. Really, he really should. Also, real quick, I got to shout out to my guy Matthew Stafford. Does not deserve to be in tier 3. That dude's the most underrated quarterback in the history of NFL history. Dude has been absolutely thrown in a fire his whole career. The worst franchise in the league, and the guy just puts up freaking
but we see
numbers.
a lot of other quarterbacks that produce a lot of wins with lesser talent. Will, you just said that, so clearly Matthew Stafford's not that good.
The Detroit Lions are a different kind of trash.
And I would just like to point out to something you just said. Against the division, Carson Wentz is 2-1. 2-1. He lost a bad game. The Eagles lost a bad game to the Washington football team in week 1, but he's only played 3 games. He's played half of his games against division opponents, and he's 2-1. And he's got the Giants this week. They're gonna beat that team.
I want Carson Wentz to be good. I want the Eagles to have a winning record, so the NFC East actually can produce a winning team. But I mean, what I've seen so far, I won't say he's been bad. I'll say he has not been as good as what Carson Wentz usually is. Despite the lack of weapons, Carson Wentz himself, he just has not seemed like himself this season.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about Carson Wentz.
One thing for me to say about all this, Matt Ryan in tier 3, sure, he's had some bad games, and Calvin Ridley's been out a couple, but I like Ryan in tier 2. And I mean, if you look at Josh Allen in tier 3 as well, he's had a hot season, or a hot start to the season. I'd kick him in a tier 2 as well. And then let's look at tier 1. Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson. Is it just those 4 that are tier 1? Could we add another one?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Kyler Murray.
Kyler really?
Murray, yeah, he's been progressing as a great run pass quarterback, especially coming off a win against Seattle. So I think Kyler Murray could be a sleeper in tier 1.
Which I think that Seattle-Arizona game so far, I think, would make an argument for best game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the most exciting game I've watched so far.
Right.
Notably in that game, Isaiah Simmons making pretty much his only notable play of the season with the interception on Russell Wilson there. Other than that, he's never played more than like 21 snaps in a single game, and he only played 5 snaps in that game. So talk about a guy that Will and I were really high on, thought was the best player in the draft, and really has done nothing, unfortunately.
Doesn't even earn the right to play a lot. He's so bad.
Yeah, and I don't even think Arizona's got the players ahead of him that would warrant him sitting. I don't think they have anybody so talented that they would sit their top pick.
Yeah.
We're
wrong every once in a while.
Speaking of exceptional talent on the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins in the argument as one of the best receivers in the NFL. But so far through this season, there have been some surprises at the wide receiver position. Will and I started talking about this during a grocery run 2 weeks ago.
Heated debate.
Because we were talking past each other. I was ranking one way, he was ranking another way, and we didn't realize it. And then we got into an argument about how you would rank it. But for this episode, we are ranking the wide receivers on just this season right now. Who are the top 5 receivers? Ryan, go.
Okay. Number 1, DeAndre Hopkins, averaging over 100 yards per game. It's pretty incredible. Also has the most. I already forgot. I think it's targets. Out of all wideouts in the league. So after Hopkins, number 2, I have DK Metcalf. With the Seahawks, he's been playing very exceptional football. 97 yards a game. And number 3, Calvin Ridley with the Falcons. He's been, through 5 games, 82 yards a game, 657 yards with 6 touchdowns in 5 games. He's been out past couple of weeks, so yeah. Number 4. Now this is the pick that I don't think
you said there was gonna be one that we wouldn't have.
Yeah, I thought Calvin Ridley and DK Metcalf were both that, but apparently we're not there yet.
Fair enough. Justin Jefferson with the Vikings.
Whoa, that is yep.
I can see it. He's on my fantasy team, and I definitely can see where you're coming from.
Right?
Didn't have a very good game against the Packers, though.
Sure, yeah, and that could partially be because of Kirk Cousins as well.
I think the offensive game plan was clearly to run the ball too. So
yes. Dalvin Cook was a monster in that game. But besides that, Justin Jefferson, 80 yards per game, 563 yards. I think that puts him as 14th in the list with most yards. But I think he's a really good wideout. And number 5, okay. So I should probably switch. I'm going to do a little switching here. Because Devontae Adams.
I was getting concerned. I
had him as my number 5. But he's really, 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 really good. In 5 games, he's averaging 100 yards a game, 500 yards total with 7 touchdowns already. I'd have to put him in my number 2 spot and shuffle everyone down. So Hopkins and then Adams.
All right, I was concerned. I was sweating.
Yeah.
The Packers fan was starting to he was about to come at his throat.
And I'll tell you right now, I'll give you my rankings. I got Devontae on top. Probably a little biased, but
sure.
I watch him every week, and he is the only thing the Packers have going on offense, especially with Aaron Jones out. If you're a fantasy owner of Devontae Adams, I'm sure he's won you multiple games. He beat me this last week.
I have him on both my just one fantasy team. I think I have one win.
Well,
not that I was coming.
The rest of your team is
coming
trash.
at Devontae Adams. Yeah, the rest of my team is just trash.
You drafted Daniel Jones before the last round, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I did.
So I got Devontae on top, but then I've just flipped the top 2 from Ryan's. I got DeAndre Hopkins at 2. Number 3, I have Travis Fulgham. That is mainly because since he has entered the league, he has led the NFL in receiving yards and receptions. He's like Devontae Adams Jr. He's all the Eagles have going on offense right now. Everyone knows that Carson Wentz is looking his way first. So I think Travis Fulgham is a star in the making. Unfortunately, he was on the Packers practice squad this offseason, and they cut him very early. He was only on the team. He's on the team for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I don't want to hear the Packers say we don't have talented wide receivers.
Well, there was no preseason.
I don't.
There was no preseason.
Hear it.
There was no preseason to properly.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 4. I'm sure you guys are not expecting this. Alvin Kamara, 4th best receiver.
I was going to put Kamara in there, but I was like, nah, he's a running back.
He's a running back.
So I won't do it. Ethan will come at my throat if I do that.
No.
But here is Ethan putting a running back in the. I respect it. I almost did it.
Hey, he is clearly the top receiving option for the Saints. And talking about Devontae Adams winning a lot of fantasy games, Alvin Kamara has won me probably 5 fantasy games. He's so talented. The Saints are probably very thankful that they locked him up long term, especially with Drew Brees looking to retire in the next 2 years, possibly after this season. So whoever the quarterback is next, Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, they're going to have a nice safety net to throw the ball to, hand the ball off to. And I think Sean Payton gets Alvin Kamara involved exceptionally. And so if he were to switch to receiver, I think he would be top 5, and I think he's top 5 anyway, even at the running back position. And then number 5, I actually switched this one during the last segment because we started talking about how bad Josh Allen was, and I was like, yeah, you're right. He has not been good, which means my original number 5, which was Stephon Diggs, is clearly not moving the needle enough for his own quarterback to have successful games. So I switched out Tyler Lockett with Stephon Diggs. Tyler Lockett has been underrated his entire career. Basically been the only receiver Russell Wilson's had to throw to until DK showed up. Probably a bit of a hole in my game. I didn't even have DK in my first 3 out. I had Robbie Anderson, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs. But yeah, those are my top 5. Will, how about you? Notice how neither Ryan nor I put Julio Jones in our top 5.
Or Antonio Brown or Des Bryant.
They haven't played.
Sure.
Before this, I will question. I have 2 wide receivers that are from the same team. I'll give you 10 seconds to guess which team it is, and I'll buy you Bob Toast. Ready, set, go.
Okay, Scotty Miller.
Steelers.
What?
I'll stop you when you're right.
Wait, 2 receivers. Oh, which team?
They're on the same team. You got 3 seconds. I'll extend it to 15 seconds.
Bucks,
what team
Bucks,
is it?
Yeah.
Steelers.
Okay,
Dolphins,
maybe the Cowboys.
Texans, Cowboys.
15 seconds. Oh, wrong.
Broncos.
Nope.
Raiders.
Nope.
Chargers.
The
Cardinals.
Seattle Seahawks. DK
Oh.
Metcalf, Tyler Lockett combo.
He acted like it was. He acted like it was a mystery, so I didn't want to say the Seahawks. So I felt like that was the obvious choice.
That greatest wide receiver duo in the league right now. Tyler Lockett, wildly underrated. DK Metcalf, an absolute beast. But here's my top 5 in order. I just want to get that. I want to say my top 2 are so incredibly close and so much higher than everyone else that my 1 and 2 are kind of in their own category, and then there's just like
It's Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
everyone else is just kind of like I'm just filling out the list.
Okay.
But these I don't even know who I would say. I mean, I'll just say this: DeAndre Hopkins is my number 1. Devontae Adams is my number 2.
Yeah.
The line between who's the best receiver in the league right now is like so fine between them that it's almost.
Well, I
I'd
feel like
put them
whoever
in the
has
same
whoever
category.
had the better week last week is number 1.
Hopkins, I mean, the guy just has the stickiest hands in the league. He's just great. But Devontae Adams is just absolutely uncoverable. Like, the guy is the best route runner in the league.
That's the thing. They both have different. Like
They have-
DeAndre Hopkins can go up and get any ball, and he's got breakaway separation with his speed. But Devontae, he's just got an exceptional release off the line, and he runs routes so well that he's just always open.
Exactly.
So they're the best receiver at the thing that they do, but they both are completely different
They're both
guys.
different. So, like, they just do 2 completely separate things, but they're both just equally dominant, I would say. Like, you just, as much as you want to prepare for them, like, they're going to go off. Like, you just can't stop it. And if you look at stats, Devontae Adams does not have as great stats, but how many games? Did he miss a game or 2 beginning of the year?
He's been hurt for 2 games, I believe.
2 games. He's already making up those stats to Hopkins. So, I mean, I think if Adams plays all the games, he's probably better than Hopkins. Anyway, at 3, I got DK Metcalf. DK. Just been an absolute animal. Number 4, I don't remember if you had him. I have Robbie Anderson.
He was my first one that I didn't make it in.
He was the first one out. I got Robbie Anderson. The guy, I mean, he suffered in New York.
He's been a revelation in Carolina.
As a Patriots fan, I watched Robbie Anderson for a year or 2, and I mean, the guy was talented. And he played for the Jets, so no one knew it. He plays for the Panthers, better team, but Teddy Bridgewater is quarterback, so still not an elite quarterback. But an improvement from Sam Darnold, and we're already seeing how much better he can be. Imagine that guy with an elite quarterback, or just a little bit better. Imagine him going to the Eagles with Carson Wentz. I think that would be just an absolute crazy bonkers time between those two. So I love Robbie Anderson, and then I got Tyler Lockett rounding out the top 5.
You know what really grinds my gears? Supposedly, rumors, Packers had a trade in place for Robbie Anderson at the deadline last year and didn't pull the trigger because they got cold feet at the last second. Can you imagine
that would be
Devontae, Robbie Anderson, and Aaron Rodgers?
I almost wonder if that'd be like a Jarvis Landry, Odell thing, but they would have Aaron Rodgers, so they wouldn't have Baker, so that's a big difference.
That's the thing. Robbie Anderson would be very complimentary of Devontae because Robbie is a speed guy. So he would be that deep threat where Devontae Adams is going to get open in the short and intermediate routes. So It really hurts me because I wanted Anderson last year bad because he would have been that difference I felt was what the Packers needed, and they didn't pull the trigger, and we got clapped by the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
None of us also, you mentioned Julio Jones. None of us had Julio Jones in our top 5.
Yeah.
He just scored his first touchdown last weekend.
Well, I mean, he didn't have a touchdown last year until like week 8 or something.
Yeah, he is talented. There's no denying that he's a great catcher of the football, but there's something very weird about Julio Jones and being incapable of getting open in the end zone.
He's so big and tall and athletic. You would think he'd go up and get balls, but I don't know if it's just Matt Ryan or that offense. Yeah. I just don't know what it is. Because like the year before, Matt Ryan's MVP season, that dude absolutely went off.
Yeah.
And in years before that, so I don't know. It's weird. The Atlanta Falcons are just weird. Like, I don't really get it.
You want to know what else is weird? That Will is surprisingly elite at picking NFL games.
Guys, I mean, are you surprised? Are you surprised? Come on. Are you not entertained?
Leading the Save Saturdays team every week we've done the picks. Comes in with another victory.
Well,
none of us are bad per se.
Will and I tied.
I'm definitely the worst because I've been at the bottom every week.
But you were close last week.
But I've never gone below 500. This week, Ryan and Will tying at 10-4. I rounded out the bottom at 9-5. Got another chance to maybe pick up my first win of the season this week.
What can I say? I have elite sports opinions.
Starting off Thursday night football game
tonight.
Might have already started tonight. We got the Packers 49ers.
20 minutes.
Rematch of the NFC Championship game. But notably, 49ers have no skill position players who touched the ball in the NFC Championship game last year active for this game because of COVID and other injuries. I'm going to be taking the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Packers all night long.
Yeah, you got to go Packers.
Broncos, Falcons. I'm going to be taking the Broncos.
I like Matt Ryan and the Falcons.
I'm going to go with Broncos as well.
Seahawks, Bills. I got the Seahawks.
I have the Bills in this game.
In New York, Seattle's favored. I got to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Woo.
Bears, Titans. I got the Titans.
I like the Titans.
I got the Titans.
Ravens, Colts. I got the Colts. Something's weird with Lamar Jackson. He's not the same quarterback he was last year.
I have. This is another tough one, but
in Indianapolis,
I like the Ravens in this game. I got to stick with the
Ravens. I'm going with the Ravens too.
Panthers, Chiefs. I got the Chiefs. 4 weeks ago, I would have picked the Panthers as an upset because they were hot. They have lost 3 straight games. Give me the Chiefs.
Yep, Chiefs.
Chiefs as well.
Lions, Vikings. Give me the Vikings.
Vikings.
In Minneapolis. Lions. All day, baby. Lions 3-1 on the road. The Minnesota Vikings 0-3 at home. Matthew Stafford, absolute baller. Lions taking it this week.
Well, look at our fear of numbers guy using the analytics to his favor.
Every once in a while, they're useful.
Giants versus the Washington football team in Landover, Maryland. I'm taking the Giants.
They played well against the Bucks.
Yeah, I like the Giants too.
I like the Washington when they still had Haskins, but I'm gonna stick with Washington.
Texans, Jaguars. Gardner Minshew out for this game, and because of that, just for the meme, I'm gonna be taking the Jaguars. They got rid of the problem, bringing in Chase Luton, rookie out of Oregon State. Give me the Jags.
I gotta go Jags too.
I'm going Texans. Can't bet against Deshaun Watson.
Raiders, Chargers. I'm a big Chargers fan. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. I'm just going to keep saying the Chargers. If it was up to me, the Chargers would be 16-0, so I'm going to take the Chargers.
I like the Raiders.
I got to go Raiders as well.
Can we put a Bob toast on that, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's official.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. Steelers versus the Cowboys. That's easily the Steelers.
Oh, yeah, Steelers.
I just want to say the Raiders-Chargers game, that feels like the over-under is 51.5. Seems like a high one. Anyway, no, yeah, you got to go Steelers.
Dolphins, Cardinals. Dolphins.
Oh, Cardinals. Come on.
In Arizona, I got to go Cardinals.
Saints, Bucks. Bucks.
I like the Bucks.
You better believe we're all taking the Bucks. Tom Brady going to ball out and show Drew Brees while he is in the back seat?
Monday Night Football, a real grudge match between two elite. I'm just kidding. It's the Patriots versus the Jets. Two teams that are screaming towards the early top 5 picks. I'm going to take the Patriots just because I can't imagine a Bill Belichick team losing to winless Jets. So give me the Patriots.
I like the Patriots as well.
Guys, City of Boston, I love you. I love the Patriots.
If you
Don't
love
get me
them,
wrong. I
Big
absolutely
upset.
love you. Bill Belichick, McDaniels, I
alert.
love you. I absolutely love you. But you signed an absolutely horrible quarterback in Cam Newton. The guy, I don't think he has a passing touchdown in like a week or 2-3 weeks. I think he has like 3 passing touchdowns, like lowest in the league. Sam Darnold's better than that. It's in New York. The Patriots just suck. And might I add, going back to the analytics, they are 0-3 on the road.
So what's it gonna be?
I mean, if I'm trying to be right, I'm gonna go Jets. I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm doing it. But I'm doing it for the record. I gotta have a better
Would you
record.
do it for a Bob bet?
I can't put a Bob bet on. I can't bet against the Patriots. This is too far. I'm already gone too far, but I'm going Jets. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Boston. I'm sorry. But Cam's just horrible.
Certainly a hot take. Maybe we should be doing the reasons reasonable bets of the week.
Reasons to regret with Will Reason.
But we don't. We have a much better betting man, and his name is Big Bets Bents, and we'll be getting to his segment momentarily. So stay tuned for the
Sit tight.
Bets' Bents of the week, and we are right back.
I'm getting hungry. Ready for some Canes. What's going on, Save Saturdays listeners? It's Will Reason here. Did you know that Save Saturdays isn't only a podcast? That's right. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Save Saturdays. Make sure to follow us for even more daily content, including fire sports memes and behind-the-scenes content from the Save Saturdays studio in Lincoln. Remember, that's at Save Saturdays on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, Save Saturdays.
You know what that music means. It's time for the Bets' Bents of the Week with Ryan Bents, host of the Drive the Greens podcast. Ryan, let's hear it.
All right. Always exciting when we get to Ben's Bets of the Week. All right. We'll start with some National Football League first, some NFL. First game I got, Seahawks at Buffalo Bills. Bills +3. And, you know, as earlier in the show, I picked the Bills to win, and I like the Bills, especially when they're +3 in the underdog. So that's just me. So if you're a Seahawks fan, go with the Seahawks. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Bills are going to pull it off. Second game, Raiders at Chargers. That one is a pick game, and I like the Raiders to win that game, win away. Steelers at Cowboys. Steelers at -14. Steelers. I think the Steelers would be able to put up the points they need to cover that spread.
Yeah, the Eagles won by 14, so I think the Steelers can win by 14.
Yeah, I think so. So that should be a no-brainer. My last game for the NFL, Monday Night Football, Patriots at the Jets. The Jets are +7, and I like the Patriots to cover. I do. All right, moving on to college football. First game, I got Tulane at Eastern Carolina. Tulane by 5. I like Tulane by 5 for sure. Tulane's a great football program. Yeah, I think we'll
because
see
Willie
that.
Fritz is a great head coach.
Exactly, you heard it from Ethan. All right, next game, North Carolina at Duke. North Carolina by 11.5, and I do really like that spread. I think Mac Brown and North Carolina can pull that off. At Duke, And Michigan at Indiana. Michigan by 3. I like Michigan by 3. Big Big Ten matchup this week. Number 23 Michigan at number 13 Indiana. So that'll be an exciting game to watch. And then Nebraska at Northwestern. Nebraska plus 3.5. I like Nebraska plus 3.5. At Northwestern. We talked about this earlier. Going to be a good game, close game.
That's Nebraska to win and cover, correct?
Yes. Because Northwestern's picked by 3.5. So Nebraska plus 3.5, they could lose by 3 and still cover. So I like Nebraska either way. And then lastly, Florida at Georgia. Georgia by 3.5, but I like Florida to win the game. So Florida plus 3.5.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely think they can win the game outright.
Oh,
so
yeah.
don't even worry about the spread.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia struggled against Kentucky last week, so I definitely see where you're coming at. Yeah.
Georgia just hasn't been the team they were last year and the couple of years before. So, and Trask and Pitts, right?
Stetson Bennett certainly does not
Goats.
look like the answer
Yeah.
at quarterback for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. So look for Florida. I like that bet. That's a confident bet for me. So now moving on to my favorite sport of all time, NASCAR. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a Drive the Greens with Ryan Bentz out this week. Sorry about that. It was election night on Tuesday, so I had other stuff to do.
Mute.
But this isn't a political podcast. We're not going to talk about the election. We're going to talk about NASCAR and the Final Four who made it to the championship round. And that is Chase Elliott in that number 9 Napa Chevy. Elliott could be the third youngest to win the championship. So, but Phoenix, a short track, not the friendliest track to him. His best finish is second, runner-up. But he's got some really good competition there as well. Another playoff driver in the Final Four, Joey Logano, my guy. He locked in the first race in the round of 8 at Kansas. So he's been preparing for a long time. And he won at Phoenix. And the championship race will be held at Phoenix on Sunday. He won at Phoenix the first time in the spring, and I really like Joey Logano there. And then another driver, Brad Keselowski in that number 2 Ford, also a teammate to Joey Logano. Keselowski is also a really good driver at Phoenix. Also earlier I picked Brad to win the championship, so I'm looking good right now.
We like Brad here at Save Saturdays.
Keselowski.
Keselowski.
Right? And then the final driver who made it in on points last week was Denny Hamlin, driving that number 11 Toyota. So Denny was actually racing Kevin Harvick for the final spot. And Kevin Harvick, dominant racer he was this season with 9 wins, just dominating every other race car or NASCAR driver in the series, did not make the playoffs, and that was surprising to a lot of people. But there was a controversial call. Actually, they didn't call it, but NASCAR's reviewing that teammate Eric Jones to Denny Hamlin held up lap traffic behind Hamlin to keep his points instead of Harvick beating him out on points, basically. So I hated that call. Eric Jones had the faster car. Denny was just getting worn. His car was just getting worn out, getting slower. Jones easily could have passed him, and 10 cars could have passed Denny, ultimately leaving him out of the Final Four. So that was the most controversial play last week. NASCAR's reviewing it. What they might do is kick Denny out and put Harvick back in, but I don't see that happening at all.
Why not just let them both race to a championship 5?
Nope, not going to happen.
Shut down.
I hope that wouldn't be the case. But I like Denny in the Final Four because Kevin Harvick won at Phoenix 9 times, a 9-time winner at Phoenix. So he definitely would have been the favorite to win the championship. Well, he was the favorite to win the championship throughout the whole season with 9 wins, of course. But that definitely leaves out some major competition for Joey, Brad, and Chase. So getting to non-playoff drivers, obviously I talked about Harvick with his 9 wins at Phoenix. Is he the favorite to win? I think he is the favorite to win at Phoenix. So, and just to educate you guys on a little NASCAR here. So when there are 4 playoff drivers in the race, and when it's the championship race, and a non-playoff driver wins that race, obviously the non-playoff driver cannot win the championship because he's not a playoff driver. But so how they would do it is give whoever had the most points in that championship race wins the championship. So it could be Denny finishing 14th, Chase finishing like 3rd, Brad 6th, and Joey 2nd, and Harvick would finish 1st. Well, whoever had the highest finish would win the championship. So in that case, Joey finishing runner-up would win the championship.
Wait, so basically by the end of that race, whoever has the highest points wins?
Out of the 4 playoff drivers.
Or is it at the end of the race? Okay, so they have 4 playoff drivers.
Yep.
Whoever of the 4 places higher in that race wins it?
Basically.
Or they total the points, and the highest point earner gets it?
Right. So right now, the 4 playoff drivers that are evened out at 0 points or 5,000 points, because as you go, playoff points change throughout the rounds. So they're all even at 5,000 right now, and they do stage points too. So you could have Joey win the first stage, Chase win the second stage, and then they would both have those 10 points. And then you could say Joey got crashed out on the 3rd stage, and he would only have those 10. It's so complicated because then you have to take account. You have to take into account there because
this is confusing.
Stage points are only given to the top 10 finishers in the stage. So it's basically whoever has most points. So I was wrong. Not necessarily the driver who finishes the best could end up with the most points. It's whoever gets the most points throughout the whole race. So with the first stage, second stage, and the final stage, whoever racks up the most points in all those stages wins. But
there's a lot more to NASCAR than what I thought.
oh yeah, that's why it's so interesting. That's why I love it so much.
It's not
A
just
lot of
driving in
strategy.
circles.
Yeah, a lot of point strategy there.
Well, they're ovals, so.
Ovals.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
There's
get
the
wrecked.
tricky triangle at Pocono,
Get wrecked.
and then Indianapolis Speedway. That's like a rectangle almost.
Tricky.
And then
triangle.
there's road courses.
There's rovals.
Hey, that could be a new word. That could be our word in the dictionary.
A roval.
A roval.
That's already a word. Ryan said that on Drive the Greens.
The Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, I know that's a word. Boom. Get that.
Darn.
I think we might have to leave you behind when we go Kane.
All right.
Let's darn it.
So let's get to the odds here.
I'm just, before he says the odds, I'm taking Joey Logano.
Yes, sir, you are.
Ryan's guy.
My guy, Joe Logano. I have no doubt that he's not going to win this race. He's definitely the better driver out of all 4, and that is debatable. I know that, because Chase won last week at Martinsville, the eliminating race. So that was a big time win for Chase. He was below the cutoff line, so he needed a win to advance to the Final Four. So Chase is hot right now, but Joey's been preparing for 3 weeks already for Phoenix, and Brad Keselowski is just a great driver overall. He's done exceptionally well at short track races. Phoenix is one of them. I believe he's a 2-time winner there, along with Joey. And then Denny Hamlin. He's really been struggling in the final rounds of the playoffs. His car just hasn't been looking good. So I don't see Denny at all winning the championship. And if he does, it would be his first win. But for Joey and Brad, the Team Penske teammates, if any of them would end up with the championship, that would be their second championship. So we have some veteran racers here. But to my pick to win the race, so I'm going to give 2 different picks here. All right. So the race in itself, I like Kevin Harvick to win. All right. He's very upset that he didn't make the Final Four, championship 4. So he's going to come out and give everything he's got. He's got a really fast car. So I'm going to look for Harvick finishing first at the race, but my pick for the championship, the champion, of NASCAR Cup Series would be Joey Logano. I think Joey's got the best car. He's been more prepared, and Joey should pull off his second championship win in his career. So with that said, I hope you guys tune in to NASCAR on Sunday. It's going to be one heck of a race to watch. It's going to be very fun, very intense. So, and that's all I got for you for Big Ben's Bets of the Week. I hope you all enjoyed. That's all.
Speaking of Denny Hamlin,
Make it quick.
Takeout Tuesdays next week. Denny's versus IHOP.
Oh my god. Will has been wanting to go to IHOP so bad for the last
I
2
haven't.
months.
I don't
I've
know
been
what it is about
stiff arming
pancakes.
him hard on this because it doesn't really work well with the model, and I didn't want syrup in my car. But now we're eating at the apartment, so I have no excuse. Not the apartment, the studio. We've been doing it in the studio. So apparently we're doing Denny's and IHOP. This was not cleared with me beforehand.
I just thought of it when he said Denny Hamlin's name, and I'm hungry enough that I thought of Denny's and pancakes. I've been craving pancakes so bad, which is weird because we have like 2 boxes of pancake mix.
Well, it's Hungry Jack, not IHOP.
Hungry Jack. I meant just pancakes in general.
Well, yeah,
I've just been
that's the
wanting
mix we've
yeah,
had.
we have pancake mix in our thing, and I've
It's
never
not good,
used
though.
it.
It's not exceptional.
I haven't seen you use it yet.
I used it last year, and you didn't.
Last year, that box. That's not good. We don't eat enough pancakes.
We eat the perfectly healthy amount of pancakes.
Once a year.
As you
Once
guys,
a year.
you guys just got the inside scoop on how we pick Takeout Tuesday. It's literally
whatever
we're feeling at the
Like
moment.
for example, yesterday I went to Ethan. I was like, "So what are we gonna do for Takeout Tuesday?" He goes, "I don't know." And I was like, "Well, what haven't we done yet?" And we went through all the foods, and I was like, "What about Wendy's?"
Hey.
And he was like, "You just want a burger from Wendy's, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could go for a burger right now. I
So
just wanted a burger."
There's the behind the scenes scoop on Takeout Tuesday, but that's its own show. Be sure to be on the lookout for our apparent pancake battle.
If we
We do
ever act
pizza
like,
battles, but we're doing a pancake battle now.
if we ever act like we actually know what we're doing and have a plan for stuff, you're wrong.
And
it's
if we
just what we feel like.
If we announce it in the Takeout Tuesday episode, there's about a 75% chance that's not what we're actually going to review the next time. I think we did that one time. We said we were going to review something, and I don't even think we got around to that restaurant.
We said De Leon's, and we
had not done De Leon's
We've done
yet.
like 5 episodes since then without doing De Leon's. So yeah.
Well, either way,
don't believe it till you see it.
all this food talk's got me hungry to go Kane.
Yeah, I want to go
Let's go
Kane. Let's go Kane.
So we're as always. Remember to
Save Saturdays in Kane.
These my dollars, make it